They call them the Rolling Thunder. High octane. Full throttle. The legendary Saturday Night Heroes. Generations of skill and decades of rivalry has given rise to these champions. Born into the Rolling Thunder, racing is in their blood. 12 times a year, these rock stars are summoned to test their wits and their guts in heavy metal, high-octane action. Rockstars of the dirt oval, these drivers put their life on the line for the next victory. There can be no friends on the dirt.
Lyk my die elements is 'n elimination race vir ons.
With the start of an engine, blood, sweat, and tears become reality, and history is written. Drivers, cars, racing. This is Dirt Track Oval. This is Heavy Metal Thunder. This is Saturday Night Heroes. How's it, chaps, and welcome to the first episode of Saturday Night Heroes. This is a concept that our first guest actually had, Rudi Mostert, and I'm going to let him share that concept with you. We're going to talk about it for, I don't know, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes. Well, we'll just see how it goes, actually. So, Rudi, over to you. Rudi, you are in the hot seat now. What is Saturday Night Heroes?
Well, okay. Saturday Night Heroes is a concept that I found about 2 years ago. I do Stockcar Racing here in South Africa, in Port Elizabeth. We got 2 tracks. And my father got me into Stockcar Racing. He raced years ago. And when you're at the track, there's so many stories around. Every track has so many stories. Every driver has stories. I mean, there's a history behind every driver and every track. And I just thought it was a cool flipping concept. I mean, telling the story. You know, all you've seen on Discovery, all these channels, all these car shows now. I don't know if I can mention it, but like Fast and Loud, you know, the guys from Gas Monkey. And it's a very cool concept to see what's going behind the scenes, how the guys build the cars. Because there's a lot of bloody time and money going in, and blood, and sometimes tears that goes into that building those cars. And then on the Saturday Night Heroes, these guys come, normal people come. I mean, they have got day-to-day jobs. I mean, it's not like millionaires or guys that have a lot of money, but they come and they race the cars that they've worked on the whole month to race for one night to hopefully take the checkered flag. And get a plastic trophy, and you win a bit of respect. Once in a blue moon, you'll win a bit of prize money with this, maybe it's national competition or something, but the prize money is so little that you can only pay for a set of tires maybe, or petrol for the evening. So it's just a cool concept. So I want to promote Stockcar Racing in South Africa. I want to showcase what happens behind the scenes. And yeah, I mean, I think really, like I said, I keep saying it's a cool concept, but it's something cool that I think as well. I mean, every night, every Saturday night, once a month, anyway, yeah. So once a month, you'll hear the like engines roaring. You'll smell fuel and it's mud-slinging action, bumper-to-bumper action, guys, racing for the checkered flag. And yeah, I really think it's a concept that can work. The past weekend, actually, when we raced on a Friday night, though, was at the Kurt Elchin Memorial Race in Port Elizabeth here. It was obviously it's a new season now. It was only a club race, and we have different races. We have club races, we have a regional race, and then we have nationals. So club races, mostly the guys just from Port Elizabeth and maybe surroundings.
I think if I'm correct, this is the 9th annual Kurt Elchin race that has taken part, or that has happened, should I say. It is the 9th.
I'm actually looking at this trophy because this was also one of the trophies that I won, but this was 2017, but it doesn't say on it. I can't remember exactly, but Kurt Elchin was one of the first, or not the first guys, but one of the guys that actually died on the victory race track, unfortunately. He raced someone else's car. Throttle got stuck and hit the wall. So unfortunately, yeah.
It is unfortunate. And that's why we have, I suppose, every year, a race to commemorate him,
Exactly,
to
yeah.
remember him.
And-
But before we get too sidetracked, as you were saying, like you wanted to promote the sport. What about promoting yourself?
Yeah, well, the whole concept around Saturday Night Heroes is to promote the sport, because I'm not going to try to take all the shine just for myself. I want to promote it because there's so many good drivers in South Africa and so many people that puts their hard earned time and money and everything in their cars. But for myself, I would like to branch off later on to become like a pro driver. I know in South Africa you don't really get, we don't really have pro races because, I mean, it's the sponsorships and money isn't really, there's not really that much money in South African racing. But I mean, I've even spoken to some of the guys in NASCAR overseas, in the States, and I've been in contact with them. So hopefully this will give me the platform to promote myself as a race car driver, not only as a race car driver, but as a pro driver. You've seen like things like Top Gear and all those things. I mean, I would even drive the fourth car that they drive around. The car that they don't want to drive, that little Beetle, or the thing that's the messed up thing. That's the thing. I don't mind driving that thing. I mean, I just want to get myself out there. I mean, I want to live my dream of being basically paid to drive cars for a living. I mean, I'm trying to build a business. I'm trying to do this and trying to do that. But at the end of the day, the only thing that comes easy to me, and the one thing I wake up, look forward to doing, is driving and racing. And that's the one thing that's my passion. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to promote myself as a pro driver, and then get the name out for Saturday Night Heroes and get the other races in South Africa, get them a bit of shine. And if something comes from the Saturday Night Heroes, I mean, I'm more than willing to help other drivers as well, that young drivers, because it is expensive to build cars, especially in South Africa.
So maybe to get some of the young drivers a little bit of screen time, or just to get them a little bit more known around the local parts of maybe Port Elizabeth, or maybe different parts of the country. You know, if we eventually do branch out to Durban, Cape Town, Joburg, some of those bigger centres.
You say bigger centres, but we actually have the most popular track in PE. In the country, sorry. Victory Racer is one of the most popular tracks in the country.
What makes it so popular?
I think because we have the most drivers in South Africa in Port Elizabeth. Due to politics, we had one track at the showgrounds in North End here in Port Elizabeth years ago, and because of politics and nonsense, they split. Now there's PEOTR, which is in Greenbushes, and then we got Victory Race where I race.
And I take it the guys are still friends with each other. It's just it's not as easy as it used to be. You still race against each other, right? I mean, you still talk
that's
to
the thing.
each other.
They are obviously there are people that are rivals that don't talk to each other at all. The one thing with the other track, they have a different. The track is different than ours. The surface is different. Also, oppervlak, maar yeah, the surface is a little bit different than ours. They have this new rule where my class, the heavy metals, is going to go different, or the opposite way around that we're going now, and which is actually quite stupid, I think. Personally, I think it. I mean, I'll put this out there that I think, because now I can't go race there with my car, or I'll have to go completely set up my car, just go race there. I'm definitely not going to do that. So
I suppose, different opinions cause the clubs kind of to split.
But,
that's not, everybody's in it actually at the end of the day for the same sport of motorsport, and in this case, motor racing, Stockcar Racing.
Racing.
So as, kind of branching off on that thought, what got you into racing? Or what, did you grow up into racing? Did you watch it? Did you hear it and go and see what this noise is? And there's a stock car track here. Or how did you get into it all?
So one of the reasons why I also started Saturday Night Heroes is because of my father. He's the one that got me into the racing. He used to race years ago at the old showgrounds here, and he used to own like 13 Datsun Triple S's, and which he used to race. And do you think he could have kept one for me? But so he got me into it. So I was probably like 2-3 years old when he stopped racing, but we still went to go watch the racing, and we were always there at the showgrounds. And then, like I said, a few years, the racing actually stopped in PE because of the politics. They closed down the track, and so my dad got me actually into, like I said, he used to race. He's got his EP colors. I think he was 5th in the country at the time, and
And what was the first car then that you drove once you got into
My
it?
first car was actually a 1660 Golf, Volkswagen Golf. I'll say 1660 is a 1600 motor, obviously, but a little bit warm gemaakt, jy weet. Maar it was my first night of racing. Actually, that was I raced against some of the top guys, Kurt Elton, those guys.
And did you actually come anywhere?
I actually placed first for that evening. My first, and it was one of the top, it was like I say, some of the top guys in the country or in Port Elizabeth I was racing against.
So we are going to put this down to beginner's luck, or you've actually got some racing skill.
You know what? Like I said, I was always the guy. And when my friends played rugby or cricket at the school, in my primary school, I was the guy racing my mom's car around the school. I'll be windgat and drive then handbrake turns, and I taught myself driving. My dad taught me a little bit of driving, but then I just stole my mom's car and I'll drive around the block, and the neighbors used to hate me for it because I'll rip up their grass because I'll sometimes cut the corners a bit,
And I suppose it's kind of grown naturally from there over the years.
And that's, like I said, the one thing I do enjoy still to this day. I'll just drive them to the shop. If someone asks, listen, we need to go to the shop, I'll drive. That's one thing I know I'm good at. I'm not saying I'm the best in the world, but I know, you're in safe hands when you're with me.
And now, okay, you're talking about the VW 1660 class. I believe that you don't race that class anymore?
No, that was actually 2007. Weird enough, this is actually the trophy that I won that night. You can see there's still the date, the 5th of the 5th month, 2007. So, yeah, now I've raced in that class for about 3 years, and then obviously the car started getting a bit mangled, and car parts gets expensive, and then we stopped racing for a bit, and then I started racing in the heavy metals class. Back then it was called Super 6s. It was a V6 class, V6 or a standard V8, like the Lexus V8 that you get, which is a great motor, that I'm still looking for my other car now. Actually, the car that I started racing in the heavy metals, which was a Ford Granada with a V6 motor in. Big as car, but it handled like a dream.
So you're saying heavy metals. Now I just need to maybe mention this, but before we were actually recording today's session, you were telling me a little bit about the history of PE and the racing and how you used to drive the tractors.
The tractors, my brother.
Around is that why you're into the whole heavy
you know
metal
what
class?
the
Because
weirdest
of the heavy
thing,
tractors.
The weirdest thing is with where the track is now, the Victory Raceway track is now. That was my dad's. It was his premises. It was actually Telkom Sports Grounds, and he used to maintain the premises. So it was a soccer field, it was a cricket field, and then my dad always had the tractors there. And that's actually where I learned to drive rear-wheel drive.
So does Telkom know you were riding these tractors around the track?
No, it was actually my dad's tractors. So luckily it was his tractors, because he still got to one. That thing is about 40 years old, and he still drives it around, or uses it for work. But anyway, so my brother would race the one and I would race the other one, and we would just race it around the track, exactly around the field, exactly where the track is now. So I think that's where I got used to being there as well. That's why it feels that track feels like my home. That's why the Saturday Night Heroes is not only for me or for other Stockcar races mainly, but mainly for Victory Race as well, to promote that club. Because like I said, it's already one of the popular clubs. But yeah, so my brother and I used to race around the track. Used to race around the field. And that's also where I learned to drive rear-wheel drive, because rear-wheel drive is a little bit different than front-wheel drive.
Now, before we actually get into that, I know there's a bit of a rivalry always between rear-wheel drive and front-wheel drive drivers. But what are some of your accomplishments? Like you were talking about, you touched on earlier the 1660s, and now you've gone into the heavy metals. Have you actually come anywhere? Have you placed in any national events in the heavy metals class?
Yeah, I wish I could say I placed in the top 3 in the nationals, but I haven't yet. But that's why this year we've put out this year for it. I want to go for the nationals. It is difficult because the guys in a national level, they have fast cars. They've got a lot of money going into their cars as well. Mostly it is BMWs and it's multi-valve and this. I'm not going to say it's just because of a car. And obviously there are great drivers and there are very good drivers out there.
But money definitely plays a factor.
Money does play a factor. I mean, you can still win with a cheaper car, but it takes a little bit of skill then. But just probably from experience and over the years now, I've seen that the guys with a bit of money, that put a lot of money into the cars. I mean, it's because it's suspension as well. It's not only motor; it goes to suspension, your handling. So yeah,
And for some of the regional events, I also believe that you've actually come first and second in some of the local and regional club racing, that type of
the
thing.
last nationals that we had in Port Elizabeth, I came placed third for that evening. But it was, like I said, haven't raced all the nationals. That's the thing. You got to go race all the legs. There's usually 3 legs across the country. Like they choose the tracks where we go race. And last year I only raced at the Victory one. Because of finances and all those things. I mean, it does cost money to travel, and sometimes the clubs do help you out, but still, I mean, last year I had a bit of a rough year. We sorted out the car. We got to a point where it was the fastest car on the track. That thing, I literally drove on the outside past the front wheel drive cars, and then that night I rolled the car. That's actually,
you're saying it was too fast for the corners then?
No, the track was a bit bumpy though. The track was bumpy, the wheel came off, had a gentle nudge from the guy that was second place, and everything just...
We actually got that on camera. Do you
That's
remember
actually the night we met, yeah. That's basically how we met. So it's maybe like a blessing in disguise, I don't know. That's how we got this concept going now with me sitting and you sitting there. But yeah, to get back to where I placed, so my first year of racing, like I said, my first night of racing, I won. I got most promising driver of the year that year. Then there was a few races that I won in between, and then there was like, so, and then I moved over to the Ford Granada when I went to the heavy metals. Now about 2015 we started, 2014, 2015 with the Ford Granada. I raced with that car. Like I said, that car was was a showstopper because everybody just loved the car. I mean, how the car looked like this old school Mustang, and the colors and everything. I was still sponsored by my previous company. It just looked good. And then, because we wanted to try to go for the nationals, actually try to compete with the top guys, we thought we had to go for a little bit lighter car, a little bit faster. So we built a Ford Sahara, which I'm driving now, the one I rolled. That's a very powerful car, I must say. My dad, and it's a motor my dad built. He's built. We had 3 motors before my dad started building motors. Other people built motors, and then my dad said, "No, he's klaar met dit now. He's gonna build the motors himself." And yeah, we raced basically for more than a year with one motor, I placed now 3rd in the regional champs. Even though I sat out one race because of a friend's wedding, I rolled the car, I hit the wall. So there were basically 3 races that I sat out, but I still placed 3rd in the regionals.
So, and how's this season going so long? I mean, it's the end of January. So.
Yeah, we only had one race, like I said, a club race.
And I believe that went fairly. You had an electrical problem, eh? Where Conrad broke.
Electrical problem.
Hit
Yeah.
the starter motor off the block, and now you can't start the car
No,
anymore.
Conrad just went through the block. Yeah, just so yeah. The first race, the handling was perfect. The car was running. It was running hard. And the first race I was fighting. That's actually the video that I posted on the Saturday Night Heroes with the GoPro mount here under my chin, on my helmet chin.
Okay, so you were live streaming that.
I was live streaming, yeah. That actually got quite a bit of views.
Well, let's not understate this. I think a couple of days ago it was already sitting at 44,000 views.
Yeah.
That's in what, 6 days? Well, tomorrow's Friday, so 6 days.
6 days
that it's been publicly available.
Yeah.
And 44,000 views is a lot of support.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, hope something can come from it. I mean, that was the whole idea behind it.
And it just seems like people are interested in actually watching.
Exactly. It's very cool. I mean, if you can see what's happening behind the scenes, and you're literally seeing someone race, and it's not, and we're racing hard. I mean, you can see I'm pushing the car to the limit. Then in the second video, I actually hit the wall because I did hit a either a wet patch or oil patch. And you can see it on the camera. And it's not my mistake. That wasn't my mistake. Even though the guy that came first, he wouldn't
admit that.
Yeah, he wouldn't admit it. So, so I posted that video, and it's very cool to check to see what's like literally live action.
Well, that brings me to another question. Is like a kind of a 3-part question, single shot here. What is going through your mind as a race car driver in the pits? First of all, in the pits, when you're pulling on your gloves, when you're putting on your helmet, when you're starting that car, Secondly, when you are you've done your sighting lap, all the cars are now bunching up on that last corner, you're waiting for that green light. What is going through your mind then? And then lastly, if you're first or second, doesn't really matter, but when you see that number one come up, white flag, this is the last lap, what is going through your mind?
Well, in the beginning, before the race, when you put on your helmet, you get in. You actually line up while the race before you still on. You've got to line up on the grid, in the pit grid or pit lane, whatever they call it. I'm not sure even. But we line up there, and you sit on with your helmet. You sit on with your gloves, ready to race, basically. And I sometimes just say a little prayer. Obviously, I mean, I'm so used to it. I'm not trying to be windgat or anything, but I'm used to it by now. It all depends on who you race and where you race. If I'm in PE, I'm very comfortable. I know the track. I know the most of the drivers, how they drive, how their techniques are. If you race on another track, it's a bit more. I'm not going to say stressful, but you're
not quite as at ease as you would be.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, you also know that you can do this, because you think before you actually get on track, you're like, oh, how am I going to do? But as soon as you get on that track,
it just comes naturally.
Like you forget about all those things, because at the end of the day, it's you get to know your car. And that's the main thing. If you know your car, that's why it's not always easy. That's why my first night, like I said, my first night of racing, it was maybe call it a bit of beginner's luck, but I mean.
But like you said, it almost comes naturally. Now, I've seen you and I've seen the crowd go wild when you flip and exit that pit lane. You hang it out sideways there, and man, it just looks so natural.
That's probably my favorite part of the racing. If you just exit the pit lane and then just put it so the gat uit also, and just show the people, give the people something to cheer about. I mean, the spectators are there for racing, but also to see a bit of. I know everyone always wants to see crashes, but we don't want crashes. So I give them something else to. Something else to cheer about.
And then getting to the point where like your cars are now bunching up. I mean, it's super exciting to watch when the guys are like maybe the first guy setting the pace, and everybody's trying to bunch up on him, and they trying to go as fast as possible but not touch. What is the thinking going around there?
Well, there you got to, like I said, especially if you're not first, the first guy keeps the pace. So the 1 and 2 basically keeps the pace, but. You just make sure you're ready for that when the green flag drops or the green light comes on. So who's the quickest on the petrol, and who's the quickest leaving the clutch? Because I still give a bit of a clutch before I go, just to get that little extra nudge out. But
I mean, this is still, I assume you're saying it feels natural and you're used to it, but does it still spark your adrenaline? Does it get you going?
Like I said, and sometimes the track's a little bit wet, or you hit a wet patch, and like it happened to me before, and you gun for that green light now, and then the gat comes out, and then you have to control that as well.
And then you sideswipe the wall.
You can always sideswipe the guy next to you. I mean, that's the thing. And then in the first lap, you can't bump each other. Then generally we can't bump it. They tell you before race if it's contact or non-contact. Back in the day when my dad used to race at the old showgrounds, they had contact. That was what Stockcar Racing was about. If you don't want to get out of the way, he's going to take you out of the way.
Well, that was when rugby was rugby.
That's exactly, exactly. I'm not going to comment on that. I'm not going to. Just now, I've got a couple of rugby friends as well, so I don't want to be tackled.
It takes a man on a horse, not a nanny on a donkey to ride these cars.
You said it, so.
And then, thinking about you've done your couple of laps and everything, and then getting to that last lap, what is going through your mind then?
Well, the last lap, when the white flag drops, I mean, then you can't bump at all. Yeah, that's the rule. You can't bump each other. You basically just hook up. Soos in Afrikaans, I'd say kop hou. Because I mean, if you can't, you have to cross that line, and you can't without. Like what happened with me before the last corner, I literally thought, okay, this is my race. I've got this, because nobody was close to me on the last lap, in the race. But now on the last lap, the guy literally pushed through on the last gap and on the last corner, and he took it. And
so if you're saying you're not allowed to touch on that last lap. So if you actually really want to win the race, let's say you're coming second, you've got to pass him clean.
Basically, pass him clean. It is very difficult to do, especially if someone keeps their line.
Which I understand the front-wheel drive cars do that.
The front-wheel that is very really difficult.
Can't.
It's very difficult to keep a front-wheel drive, to pass a front-wheel drive, because they keep their race line. It is if you have enough power and you can handle the outside track. Yes, you can do it, but then you still need more power than the front wheel drive car to pass him on the outside and still keep the grip. So it takes a bit of skill to do that. It's not always easy. Now the last race you'll see actually live, the first race that one that got so many views, you'll see.
Not your turn. Carry on.
You'll see me actually fighting against a front wheel drive. One of the drivers, Brendan Foree.
But now talking about the skill level, so here's a question for you: who's the best driver?
I think I'm the favorite driver of the track. To be
who's
honest,
the best driver?
well, it depends now.
Now remember, depending on how you answer this, I'm gonna dock points off your seasonal standings. 1 point for every question you get wrong. So if you get this one wrong, you're going to lose a point.
Sure. Well, are you talking about in our class or in our club? Or
Well, let's go with your class.
in our class, yeah. Well, if I say myself, then obviously I'm going to be biased and be vain and saying that Eugene van Vieren, he won the regionals last year. Rudi Bellu won the regionals year before that. Henry Miller won the year before that. And okay,
So the guys kind of share the best driver position
you know,
for now.
you can always see the consistency in the club, who's consistent. And I think, yes, you can say I'm the best driver, but my car's not consistent. And how do you calculate?
Now Eugene drives a front-wheel drive car.
He drives a
doesn't
front-wheel drive car, VR6 Golf. So it's much lighter, and he puts all the power. He says his car's not that fast, but he puts all that power onto the track. And
Yeah, compared to your business, I mean, you've got a rear-wheel drive car which is mostly cut out, so
Yeah.
your motor and everything is in the front. You've got very little weight over the back wheels
That's
where
the
the power
thing.
is going down.
And if you look at how I drive the car, I mean, I'll drive the car to the limit. I'm either going to lose the car, I'm either going to hit the wall or spin out, or I'm going to win the race. That's the thing. I'm always pushing it to the limit. But it's fun. That's the fun. For me, it's front wheel. A rear drive is so much more fun to drive. Eugene actually has asked me to drive his car now in December race, and I said to him, I wanted to test my car as well because I rolled it, and the race after that hit the wall because I don't know if it was my fault or something broke, but I hit the wall, and the race after that the gearbox broke. So I never tested the car. But then he said I must drive his car, and I still wanted to drive my car, even if my car was right. I enjoyed driving rear wheel drive more than front wheel drive because it's just so much more fun.
Okay, so clearly you're definitely working towards the goal of placing first. Obviously, everybody
Yeah.
wants to place first, second, or third. Doesn't matter in this next season.
Yeah.
But as for Saturday Night Heroes, where are we going to from here? What is the plan?
Well, my plan with the Saturday Night Heroes, yes, I want to promote myself with racing. I'm going to put out the live feeds there with me racing, and you're going to see me race when I'm going to have the GoPro on. And later on, I'm going to have other guys also with GoPros on so you can see their races, not only the heavy metals, but you get the goals. My cousin, Rudi Mostert, Mossi, he drives a Golf, and he's one of the best drivers there again. He'll come with a skew car, literally a skew car that he bumped because he rolled the car maybe, or he bumped a car against the wall, because he also drives to the limit, but he'll still win the race. Even though the cars behind him is very mushy expensive. And
So seeing that you're wanting to put some of these other drivers or other people, the public, in the first person view of these other drivers, are we also going to sort of invite them and get their side of the story?
You see, that's the whole point. I don't want to make this about me, and it's already taken me. I mean, I really thought long and hard about it, putting myself on a camera and putting myself out to the world. I mean, but if I want to become like a pro driver or I'm going to have to do it. As much as I just want to put my driving out there, and people want to put a face to a person or face to a driver or whatever. So yes, my plan is actually to ask other drivers, would they be willing to come on the show? Come have it. Let's have a chat about it. Let's tell us your story. Tell us. I want the guys to tell their story. Like, there's so much history. Like I said in the beginning, there's so much history behind every track, behind every racer. Everyone. I mean, there's so many late nights that my dad and I work on the car, and on Friday night, and you'll see people. We stay right next to the N2 in Port Elizabeth, and people drive past, and you'll hear the guys hoot at us. Hoot at us. We won't even know who it is. We'll just wave. But now we just wave, but there's, like I said, there's guys traveling to Cape Town. I've heard a story of the old Atta Victor. I don't know how true it is, but old Atta Victor, actually the builder of the Victory Raceway track, He's the one that started stock cars for us in Port Elizabeth. Also, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is to promote, like I said, Victory Racer, but his family, and Peter Victor, the guy that's taken over from his father now. Peter Victor is one of the best drivers in South Africa. That's point blank. That's a statement I'll stick to. He's one of the best drivers in South Africa. He raced when I was still in school, in high school. That was what, how many? Probably it's like 16 years ago that he started racing, and I saw how he grew up, like from also struggling, and now he's one of the top guys, and he's.
He drives. I understand he won the last race in the V8 class, of
yes,
course. He doesn't drive one of the Christmas tree cars, does he? He drives that white.
The white one, yeah.
Now, I'm not too familiar with all the cars. I mean, I've been into racing and interested in motorsport for many years, but not in the PE scene, because I'm not originally from Port Elizabeth, so not too familiar with all the drivers. But he drives that. You said that white
with Custom City on the side, because they're
Custom City.
Yeah,
okay.
Custom City.
So we need to actually get him in at some stage along the line.
I would actually love to get him and his family in. Like I said, the story that I wanted to share now was actually, I heard that, they went to Cape Town to go race there, and the guys wanted to shower and they couldn't find a place, so they stopped in this lawny little area and knocked on the door, and the maid opened up the door and they said, "Oh, can we come and have a shower quickly?" The owner said, "No, it's fine," and they went to go take a shower and they left. And they didn't even know whose house it was. So I don't know how true that story is, but still, the way they tell it and the way, there's so many stories that they have from having a workshop down at the showgrounds back in the day. They'll take out some of their clients' cars, the motors, and put it in their race car, race with it, and the next day they'll just put it back in their car, and then there you go, there's your car.
So no, we definitely want to have him on the show. But now, who would you say? Anybody specifically in mind, maybe for the next episode, whenever that's going to come out? We don't actually know yet.
Well, I have spoken to some of the guys. I have mentioned it to them, and obviously it would be nice to promote my class, the heavy metals, and like guys like Eugene van Vieren, the regional champ of last year. His father, unfortunately, also passed away on the track at the showgrounds. So that's again, one of the reasons I want to start this whole concept is sharing those stories of his father as well. I mean, he's a legend. I mean, he was, unfortunately, like I said, he passed away. Kurt Elchin had passed away, his family, and Peter Victor and them. So yeah, Eugene van Vieren, I would like to get him on the track. I know he likes talking as well, and he likes...
So have you got any wise words for him?
Hey, Eugene, bring your front-wheel drive VR6 here, and then...
and then Rudy's going to run rings around it, maybe.
I'll throw a donut around it. That's the thing, he might take the flag, because he takes the flag quite often, but he can't do a donut.
No, that is true. Unless he does it in reverse.
Well, that I can do as well with the frontal drive at least.
Okay, well, so we'll see if we can get hold of Eugene and then get him in and hear his side of the story.
I don't have any issue with any of the drivers on my club. I mean, I know there's sometimes a bit of rivalry. I've got Brendan Fox-Fourie. I mean, he's spun me out how many times. We actually made a meme where I say, "Ah, fuck Brendan," and literally my car standing there with the smoke coming out after he spun me again. It's like,
but it's not. It's actually healthy competition. A little bit of banter back and forth, and hopefully we can actually capture some of that on the show.
Yeah, sure. That would be perfect. That would be great. And like I said, my whole thing is to travel to other cities as well, other tracks. There's Mega Kleinplasie, and in Cape Town, Worcester, there's a track there. I might even have it wrong because I haven't even raced that many times. I've only raced in George and Oudtshoorn and in POT area by us. I haven't had good races there, but also the more you go and race at other tracks, the more you get to learn it, the more you'll do, the better you'll do. My plan would be to get to those tracks as well, get to speak to those drivers, because I know George has got great drivers. I'm not going to take anything away from those guys. George and Oudtshoorn, the whole Garden Route up has great drivers, and PE's just got the most drivers because we have two tracks.
Okay, well, look, you generally got the idea across of what Saturday Night Heroes is going to be.
Yeah.
I think what we need to do is maybe have a look at that in sort of more in depth in another video. I mean, we're bordering on the 35-minute mark here, if my calculations are correct. So let's see if we can get Eugene in. Not sure when this is going to happen. Not sure how quickly or how many interviews we're going to be able to do. Of course, it depends. I mean, we've both got full-time jobs, so this is just something we're doing for fun on the side.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see where it goes. Let's make Saturday Night Heroes something big.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope we can. Really, I hope we can. So yeah, no, thanks a lot. I really appreciate you helping out as well.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
Okay,
It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, shot, man. Thanks.
We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.